Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The European Union and the United Kingdom have reached a new agreement on the latter's withdrawal from the European Union. The EU summit has begun in Brussels, where the main topic is Brexit. Our special correspondent, Magdalena Balkowiec, has this report from Brussels.
The summit of the Council of the European Union, which began today, was dubbed the summit of last resort in finding a deal on Brexit. It seems that an agreement has been found. Today, even before the start of the summit, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the latest Brexit agreement, and it seems that this agreement will be approved by all EU member countries.
We have a deal. And this deal means that there is no need for any kind of prolongation. This is a fair, a balanced agreement. It is testament to our commitment to finding solutions.
I do think that this deal represents a very good deal both for the EU and for the UK. And it's a reasonable, fair outcome and reflects the large amount of work that's been undertaken by both sides. And I agree very much, Jean-Claude, with what you said.
You know, I think what happened really over the past week or so was the Irish government coming together with the British government and also with the European Union's task force and, you know, trying to get around some of the issues that had become problematic. And we have now, in this revised withdrawal agreement, a democracy clause that ensures that the will of the people of Northern Ireland is respected and that if they want to come out of alignment with the EU at some point, they're able to do so, and also, as well as that, a unique customs arrangement for Northern Ireland, which I think can work for all of our economies.
However, it remains unknown how the British Parliament will react to this news. This Saturday, in a special sitting, MPs will vote on the newest version of the Brexit deal. It was said openly that there have already been voices of discontent about the current vision of the agreement. It was also suggested that the United Kingdom is unlikely to leave the European Union by October 31st, as the Brexit process may be prolonged by another 2 months.
Marian Banash, President of the Supreme Audit Office, ended his unpaid leave and returned to his duties today. In a statement forwarded to the media, Banash said that he would defend the independence and impartiality of the Supreme Audit Office and would resist any attempted attacks against him. Yesterday, the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau completed its examination of his property declarations. According to unofficial reports, the Bureau has reservations about them, to which Banash has 7 days to reply.
I declare that on October 16th I concluded my unpaid leave and have today returned to exercising my constitutional and legislative duties in the Supreme Audit Office. I declare that I will oppose every attempt to attack my person as the President of the Supreme Audit Office. Furthermore, I strongly announce that I will defend the independence and impartiality of the Supreme Audit Office as a head organ of state control. Moreover, I underline that in accordance with the statement of the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau, the audit of my financial statements was concluded on October 16th. This is a matter to be discussed between Marian Banash and the authorities of both Law and Justice, the entire Parliament and the Polish government. I am not competent to present such a strong position on this subject. With all due respect for myself, I am too modest and young of a person to talk about such matters. I don't want to comment on it otherwise than calling it an unprecedented scandal. If the services, despite the implementation of appropriate controls, are not able to determine what his property situation is, which he did not include in it, but he have it, we are talking about a violation of the law. That they don't respond is a scandal on both sides. It is still an open matter. I don't know why he has already come to work, whether he started working as president or is just answering the final report of the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau. I don't know the details. I'm in the Senate. I haven't heard the information.
Yesterday, while commenting on the results of the parliamentary elections, Donald Tusk suggested that he would be ready to participate in the upcoming presidential elections in Poland. Alexandra Zajicka has more on this story.
Były premiera, dziś szef Rady Europejskiej, mówi o sile prezydenckiego weta i
The former Prime Minister of Poland and the current President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, has stated that the Polish presidential elections will be a strategic opportunity to stop the Law and Justice Party government from causing damage to Poland. According to Anna Mucha, Tusk is going to come back to the Polish political scene. Andrzej Halicki said that we will hear soon about the list of candidates to be the President of Poland. According to the Wprost magazine, Donald Tusk gave the green light to destroy the leader of the Civic Platform Party, Grzegorz Schetyna, take over his leadership and block the idea of putting forward Małgorzata Kidawa-Błońska as a candidate to be the President of Poland.
by zniszczyć Grzegorza Schetynę.
Nie chcę spekulować, wszystko zależy od tego.
I don't want to speculate. Everything depends on how we approach this candidature, because our candidate has to have the acceptance of the public.
Kandydaturą publicznego wsparcia.
Wypowiedzi polityków Solidarnej Polski krytykujących.
We noticed that Poles are tired of the criticism coming from politicians of the United Poland and the Law and Justice parties. That is why the need for someone like Donald Tusk will grow.
W dniu ich zwycięstwa w wyborach do Sejmu.
Jeżeli Donald Tusk chce startować,
It is fine if Donald Tusk wants to run in the Polish presidential elections, but he is going to be one of a few candidates. The left has announced its own candidate.
PSL to samo mówi.
Można powiedzieć, że jest to już...
The European Parliament elections showed that Donald Tusk is a used card.
Tu muszę niestety się powtórzyć.
Według najnowszego sondażu IBRIS dla Dziennika Gazety Prawnej,
According to the latest survey conducted by Ibris, the former Prime Minister Donald Tusk has the greatest chance to win next year's presidential elections among the opposition supporters.
były premier Donald Tusk
Don't be a fool. Don't be a tough guy. These were the words written in a letter from US President Donald Trump to the Turkish President Recep Erdogan. The United States is now trying to put pressure on Turkey to stop its offensive against Kurds in northern Syria. Mike Pence, US Vice President, has flown to Ankara to discuss the current situation.
History will look upon you favorably if you get this done the right and humanitarian way. It will look upon you forever as the devil if good things don't happen. Don't be a tough guy. Don't be a fool.
Despite the American and international protests, the Turkish army entered further into Syria. The Turkish army asked the Kurdish army to surrender and leave the area. Russian forces took over the abandoned American base, which had been earlier evacuated as a result of the decision of the US President Donald Trump. Over 1,000 American soldiers were supposed to stabilize the situation in the region. Trump's decision has been widely criticized in the USA and internationally. The desperate Kurds asked their former enemy Bashar al-Assad for help. The US Secretary of State Mike Pence visited Turkey to urge Ankara to declare an armistice.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. A warm night across the country with temperatures ranging between 8 degrees in Kraków to 11 in Gdańsk and Olsztyn. Rainfalls will appear on the northwest. In the rest of the country, sky will be cloudless. What will the weather look like tomorrow? It will be a fairly warm day. The temperature will range from 15 degrees in Zielona Góra and Szczecin to 22 degrees in Rzeszów. In central Poland, temperature will hover around 18 and 21 degrees. Light rainfalls are expected on the west. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition. We are just days after the general election in Poland, single most important political event in this part of Europe, I believe so at least. And this will, the Law and Justice in previous term, 2015-2019, started a lot of infrastructure projects. One is a dig out of the channel through one of the to one of the ports in Elbląg. Another is a tunnel again in the northwestern city of Świnoujście that will bind two islands with the firm ground. The third and probably the most important, most ambitious is the Central Communication Hub. Jerzy Bielewicz of Gazeta Bankowa and financial analyst will tell us why this infrastructure projects are important for Polish economy.
You can list many other projects that are as much important. For example, Baltic Pipe, natural gas, infrastructure within Poland, Gazoport in Świnoujście, expansion of this Gazoport, another Gazoport near Gdańsk. It's railway projects, road projects, Via Carpatia, Rail Baltica. So there is many investment projects, but the most important, the single most important project is Central Communication Hub. And for example, General Ben Hodges, of the former head of U.S. Army in Europe, pointed out that it's a very important project from a military and defense perspective. For example, in the coming year there would be huge maneuvers in Poland, and 20,000 US soldiers would be relocated from the United States to Europe for this purpose. And Central Communication Hub, if existed, would be a key ingredient of quick movement of the U.S. Army to our region. So beside economic importance, it has as well military and defense value for Poland. Just recently, it was there was 300 million Polish zlotych put into this project. There was a strategic brief prepared by management board of CPK, and it pointed out that there is a great interest of investors from the United States and from Asia to participate in this project. Good example is United Kingdom government that assigned 100 million British pounds for design phase of the project, and it's preferential credit, very cheap. Another example is that European Union likes to participate in this project as well. For example, it's going to finance the rail connection between Ostrawa and Katowice, which is part of CPK Central Communication.
This is very important aspect, that apart from the airport, there is a huge upgrade of the roads and railway networks all over Poland in order to allow quick transfer of goods from and to this main communication.
And as I mentioned, it would enhance potential cooperation, military and economic, with our main ally, which is the United States.
There is another 4 years of term. If Law and Justice would lose this election, the project probably would have been changed or cancelled altogether. Now this works will be proceeded, and 4 years from now, do you think we will have a ground already broken and first building being constructed?
I think the deadline is 2027, which is not that long from here, and it's a huge project. So it's 65 million of passengers and cargo. up to 100 million passengers. So it's a huge project, and it's it's a precedence, because we are in a hurry to build this central communication hub, because we are kind of the growth of passengers and cargo and in ports and airports, it's growing with two-digit dynamic.
There are several bottlenecks. For example, the Warsaw is served now by Okęcie Airport, and it is known that you cannot build the huge airport practically next to Okęcie. So in the interim term, the Radom Airport will take part or most of the traffic from the Okęcie. But we need a road connection to Radom that will cut the traffic time from an hour and a half right now to under an hour.
Now you see how complicated the investment program of Law and Justice is of a big importance for Polish economy. And we have to point out to a very, very important factor that the growth in Poland is upgraded every time the International Monetary Fund or rating agency bring reports to
new data, and Polish economy is growing, so it needs new infrastructure in order to maintain that growth, correct?
Exactly.
Jerzy Bielewicz, financial analyst and Gazeta Bankowa writer, was our guest, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. What is the weather forecast for tomorrow? It will be a very pleasant day. The temperature will range from 15 degrees in Zielona Góra and Szczecin to 22 degrees in Rzeszów. Light rainfalls are expected on the west. And now have a look at tomorrow's forecast for our continent. The rain will dominate on the northwestern Europe. In Moscow, some rainfall is expected as well. In Scandinavia, weather will improve. Temperature will rise to 10 degrees in Oslo and to 13 degrees in Stockholm. Sunny weather and 26 degrees in Athens, but the highest temperature on the continent we will see still in Ankara, 29 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and this is Poland Daily Culture. The Pilecki Institute is one of the most important research organizations in Poland. It is named after one of the bravest Poles in history, Witold Pilecki. Dr. Wojciech Kozłowski, the director of the institute, is our guest today. Thank you for being with us.
Happy to be with you here.
But let's start with some shots of their actions.
Żyjemy dlatego, że Tolko Giergiel przyszedł i nas ostrzegł. Dzisiaj w nocy przyjdą was mordować.
Even in the worst times and against all odds, courageous, spirited human beings can change the fate of others.
People like that have to be recognized in Hollywood letters.
The question is why those stories or those people were not awarded or, I would say, mentioned before. Why those stories also of huge bravery were actually kept in secret.
There are many factors contributing to this issue. First of all, this is because nobody was really interested in those stories for many, many years. I mean, the communist regime that came in after the Second World War was rather reluctant to pay any attention to the Polish-Jewish relations in terms of that the Poles were helping the Jews, and they paid the the ultimate price for that. It was rather considered, which is quite surprising to us, as a family problem. It's like if a family approached the authorities and say like, okay, I am an orphan because my parents were killed by the Germans. And the answer would come, well, you didn't have to do that. I mean, your parents didn't have to do that. And this is a painful thing. So people, and again, I mentioned there is this psychological trauma. It's like I've seen my father being not even killed just by a bullet, but clapped down to death by two gendarmes, German gendarmes, and I saw that. I was standing face to the wall, and I saw my father being killed like that. And then my mother was killed with a bullet, and my grandma was killed. And then I was taken away, and I have never seen my home anymore. This is an experience that you don't want to really share. You want to move on. And these people were living with that. And after many years, we're exactly for what we're doing by approaching archives. We're finding these stories that were at some point recorded deep in the archives. We can come back to these people. We can find these families. We can talk and explore these stories. And these are really moving moments. And to conclude, in many cases, the families are grateful, not really for putting a stone in the place that this happened or in the village that it happened, but they're grateful for telling them that the death of their relatives, of their loved ones, had meaning, that it was important, and that we can be proud of them, that they can be proud of them. That's a new thing, and they really appreciate that, and I think this is a crucial thing to do.
Could you tell us, or do you have in mind one of such stories, which one of the people you called by name, or any of them?
For instance, we're just in a couple of days' time, we're going to Vaniewo. It's a small village close to Białystok. So we're talking about a countryside. We're talking about the local community. And there is this little house beside a forest. And this is like a little farmstead, a little bit away from the other buildings in the village. And there is a family of two, and with 5 children. And there, at some point, a few couples, Jewish couples, show up asking for help and protection and shelter. And they're granted that. They lived there for a couple of months, and at some point, the Germans learned about the very fact that this particular family was hiding the Jews. They come there, they find the Jews, they also round up the whole family, they execute the father on the spot, they arrest the mother, and 5 children. The oldest was 9 years old at the time. So the children, they say that the neighbors will take care of them, or they will take them with them, which means probably they will just simply kill them. So the neighbors immediately agree to take care of these children, 5 children. The youngest was a couple of months old. And so the mother was taken away, and then a couple of days later she was murdered in the prison. And these kids were dispersed among orphanages or step parents, to step families, and they found themselves after many decades.
After many decades?
Yes, and that's the point. I mean, these people they lived a happy life, and then within a couple of, perhaps not minutes, but maybe a couple of hours, everything was destroyed. The farmstead was burned down. There was nothing left. And these kids, who now only 2 of them, as far as I know, are still alive, they had to build their lives from scratch. They had to build them anew. And I believe they asked this question, what happened and what was the meaning of it? And again, we have to tell them, your parents were heroes. And you deserve to be proud of them, and you deserve to be happy about how great the deed of your parents was, that we preserved humanity and human dignity when others try to destroy that.
I think that the viewers of Poland Daily are already convinced that the huge bravery is important, and it's important to tell those stories again and again so they will never be forgotten. So thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
"1830 was a year of revolution in Europe. Belgium, France, Switzerland, and in Greece, the struggle to independence from the Ottoman Empire was finally successful. And in this dramatic year, Poland was no exception. In this programme, we look at the November 1830 revolution, which gave the Poles 9 months of freedom, of independence, the only 9 months they had between the Third Partition of Poland in 1795 and the re-emergence of the Polish state after the First World War in 1918. Join us on Poland Daily History for this dramatic story. And so we sort of reached the end of the revolution. So, of course, the immediate aftermath, well, I think, for example, Warsaw University was closed down.
The Warsaw University was closed down. Poland was the Congress Kingdom was divided into voivodeships.
Right.
I mean, there's a class. It's a Polish term, anglicized. It's an anglicized.
We would say provinces, probably.
Yeah, but I wanted to make a so that we see the difference. I mean, these were voivodeships, and it was called like this. And after the Warsaw Uprising, they were called gubernie, so Russian style, and many others, repressions. I mean, the Vilnius University, which is a Polish, cultural institution, was closed down as well. So the Polish army, as a unit, I mean, ceased to exist. I mean, it was incorporated into the Russian army.
So what had been what had been the Congress Kingdom essentially became just another part of Greater Russia in terms of administration. And what happened to the average soldier who'd been fighting the revolution? What happened to him at that time? Did the Russians sort of wreak their vengeance, or were they able to just?
I mean, he wouldn't probably get killed, as a simple soldier. I mean, it's never like this. I mean, when you want to punish somebody for military actions, I mean, you punish the leadership. Yes. So they were on a safer side.
And of course, this probably began, I think, not just this, but it began what's known as sort of the Great Emigration from Poland.
The Great Emigration.
Of leading figures having to...
Uncomparable to anything in history. I mean, the elite and Great Emigration. And now we have to ask ourselves why it was great. It wasn't great because of the number, because it was 10,000 people.
So it's relatively, but they were a significant 10,000.
Significant people. I mean, you find people like Chopin, Mickiewicz, Czartoryski, Słowacki, the elite.
Well-known figures from Polish history. Who have to.
I mean, and mostly they would go to France, also to Belgium and to England. A number went further, that is to say, to the New World. But these were the main
Yes, and also because this did inspire others. I mean, I think some of these sort of brave Poles marching through Germany were quite welcomed by local liberals. I think Wagner even wrote about it. Wrote a song.
They would be called crusaders of freedom or something like that. I mean, because again, this romantic wave is high. The tide is high.
So probably Poles have never been quite so popular in Germany before or since.
That is correct. Probably in Dresden they were welcomed as heroes and so on and so on.
Very much in keeping with the sort of romantic beginning, the romantic 19th century period. Yet another brave Polish military action, which didn't end quite as we'd all hoped, or they'd hoped. You and I weren't around at the time, so we had no hopes on this. But yes, they're marvellous to this very romantic view of these brave soldiers and folk fighting yet again for. And this is an interesting thing because history, if it doesn't repeat, it often rhymes. And even if we go back, you were talking about 1939 and the Warsaw Uprising. And again, the Russians, when they approached in 1939, their idea was not actually to go straight over the river into Warsaw, leaving aside the actual uprising, but was to actually flank Warsaw and go the other way. And of course, that, in the context of the Warsaw Uprising, that was rather disappointing to put it mildly, to those fighting in the Warsaw Uprising. But it's just interesting how, in history, things often do repeat in a slightly different way. And militarily, armies and rivers react in a very similar way throughout history. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that in 1939 and in 1831, the Russians took a similar approach. But I mean, as a historian, I mean, how would you assess overall the effect of the 1830 revolution and then the military actions of 1831? Mm-hmm.
No, first of all, I'd say that for, let's say, 9 months, there was an independent Polish state, recognized by nobody, but there was a Polish state for this period with its own administration, tax system, and so on and so on. It is something.
Yes, of course.
Secondly, I would say, because many criticize those Polish crazy, risings that lead to nothing. No, they don't. It's not that they lead to nothing. There is always a certain good that you can take from it. There was a romance or a flirt between the Polish elites and the Russians between 1815 and 1830. And the Warsaw, the November uprising puts an end to it.
I mean, in a literal sense, because it's probably worth mentioning briefly that, of course, Grand Duke Constantine's wife was in fact Polish.
Yeah.
Not that he took that as much encouragement.
Madame Grudzińska.
Not that he used that as much.
I mean, Great Duke was. I mean, he was. I mean, he had some, psychological. I mean, he was cuckoo, but he definitely he liked his Polish army, his Polish officers, and had some, sympathy for the Polish case. And then he dies in 1831. We don't know exactly why, but he dies during the uprising. But coming back to my point, I mean, it puts an end to this, attempt to make this nations closer. We didn't become, Scots of the Russian Empire.
No, I suppose you didn't become the Greeks to the Roman Empire. It was another analogy which a British Prime Minister used with respect to the British relationship to the United States after the war. So essentially it was an attempt to tame Russia, which actually wasn't ultimately successful. But again, of course, great inspiration, and as you say, the one period between 1795 and 1918, when there was, albeit for a few short months, a functioning and an independent, unfortunately not recognised by anybody else, but an independent Poland.
And another thing from the cultural perspective is that I mean many people left Poland, as we mentioned, and moved to Western Europe. All these Mickiewicz's, Chopins, and so on and so who longed for their country, and from that longing, many masterpieces, works of art were
well,
created.
that's interesting, because I think art is often stimulated by adversity. The poet derives his or her inspiration from some great event. And great art. So it wasn't actually, it wasn't all a waste of time. It was yet another step on this road to the free Poland in which
we can criticize.
live.
I mean, we can criticize the commandment. We can criticize, lack of energy or the quarrels within the.
But that's
Polish.
always. I think that's always the
like,
case in revolutions. Anyway, that's been fascinating, Dominic. Thank you for coming to the studio, for talking about this very exciting event in Polish history.
Many thanks.
And that's all for this programme. Do join us again on Poland Daily History when we look at some more exciting stories from the history of this very interesting country.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. It's fantastic. In these series of episodes, we're going to be taking a special walk in Warsaw. We're going to be looking at the sumptuous and scintillating gardens at the palace by the Vistula. That's right, we'll be taking a walk between the palace and the river. That's the royal palace, of course. Not only a beautiful building, but beautiful gardens as well. And Old Man Vistula rolling by. We're going to take a walk in the remade gardens and talk some old rubbish and see where the old river crossing was. You will be just as amazed as I was, along with Stan. Later, we'll walk along the Vistula, along what is called the Vistula Boulevards, which sports, according to many publications, the best beaches of any big city in all of Europe. We'll let you be the judge of that. So come along for a special walk between the palace and the river. That's Poland Daily Travel. We're in Warsaw. What better place to be? Let's go for a stroll.
Welcome back, everybody. We are walking down the Vistula Boulevard. It's not quite Miami Beach, but
almost.
As
warm, rather
boardwalks
warm.
go in European cities, it's about the best, I would say. Nowadays, I mean, they've really done such a great job making this a really fun area.
Yeah.
And you can see the coffee shop.
Yeah.
There's a big
But
coffee
there's many,
shop back
many,
there.
many
But down
bars.
there, there's tons of bars down there. Right?
Yeah. It's actually became, a few years ago, before they restored this place, it became popular because a lot of youngsters came here just to drink on the riverbanks, and just spontaneous parties started to emerge all around the river. Then the second thing that the city did, they knew that they couldn't contain this, so they made this area alcohol allowed. Because, you know, in Poland, you can't drink in the public just like in America. So they actually made a law that permitted people to drink on the riverbanks. And then the city said, let's turn the focus of Warsaw from the center to the riverbank, especially in the summer. So they
this
restored.
was a plan you're suggesting?
Oh, that was a plan, yes.
That was a plan. Why?
Because
to remove the chaos from the center of the city?
Maybe, and it's actually a nice place to have, you know, the river. I mean, I like to come here because when you're here, you just look at the river floating under the bridges, and I mean, there's something about us. We like water. humans. We like the sound of water.
Yeah.
We like to see water, and
I'm
especially.
glad you included me in that.
Yeah, you're part of the humans. Don't worry. You're
Thanks.
not a reptilian.
I'm not a.
I don't believe that.
Like the
I
Bushes?
don't believe that. Yeah, like
George
the Bush.
Bush
George.
and his father, both
Yes,
reptiles.
Exactly.
But I'm a cyborg.
You are? Oh, that's
I'm a
right.
cyborg. This is my.
Yeah, that's your hand.
This is my extra brain.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But we are today.
I put my brain.
We're a bit
where
orphans.
Where it belongs.
We're brain orphans.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to the
Yeah.
river. So the river became because you know in the 90s, Warsaw and the river was so polluted that it smelled bad, and only the margins of society would occupy this area, drinking vodka and going into fights. But things got changed a lot, and so now it's a fancy place, and that's why they've restored all this place. They've placed all those restaurants. There's even more of that there.
There's a lot
and
of it down
and a lot of parties, a lot of clubs, seasonal clubs.
Yeah.
Now we're early fall. It's very pleasant.
Yeah.
But it's not summer anymore.
Yeah.
So there's less people, but I can see there's kids walking with their parents. You can bike here. It's very pleasant.
Yeah.
A lot of fresh
Maybe-
air.
Hey, let's go down and take a look at this boat.
So yes, that's from Barry Lyndon. Dum,
What's from
dum,
Barry Lyndon?
dum,
Oh, that
that's
song
music.
you were
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
before
yeah,
when we
yeah.
were off camera?
Dum,
Yeah.
da, dum, dum, dum.
Yeah, but what's that great song in Ashes and Diamonds?
I've never seen this movie.
You've never seen it?
No.
I've seen it about
I'm not such a
20
movie.
times.
I'm
It's a
not
great
such
film.
a movie
You're not a
fan.
movie buff?
No.
Nah.
I don't know why. I like some movies, but I get
You're a
bored.
musician.
I'm more into
I'm
prefer
a musician too.
You too? But you like pictures. I mean, you're an artist in a different sort of way. Let me just
I like
stop
pictures.
here.
I like sound. I like them equally, actually.
Yeah.
And I like the written word.
Yeah.
You know.
I prefer
Started
sounds.
as a journalist, right?
I prefer sounds much more. You know, I like movies. The movie can be bad, but if it has beautiful landscapes, I love it. I like everything that's picturesque, everything that's beautiful.
Oh, look at that. You can see
Yeah,
the
the
old town
panorama.
right
Yeah,
there.
I love it.
It's fantastic. And the afternoon sun. We were very lucky because it wasn't supposed to be sunny like this.
No. We're very lucky, and it's much more sunny than I thought.
Yeah, it's
It would
becoming
be.
a beautiful afternoon.
Yeah.
Very good.
I
Well,
bike here from
this is what you
Mocine.
do. This is what you do on the Vistula.
Yeah, you walk.
You just
you
walk
bike.
and talk.
Yeah, exactly.
You walk
Walkie
and talk.
talkie.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. We're here on the Vistula Boulevards by the beautiful Vistula River and the heart of beautiful downtown Warsaw. It's been fantastic having you.
Thank you.
People still shake hands? I think they just go, hey,
yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh,
my personal space, please don't invite it.
Yo. Okay, I don't know any of those
Invade
signs,
it.
so I can't do them anyway. Thanks for watching. I think that maybe we should just continue walking, right?
I think so
It's
too.
a nice afternoon for it.
Very
okay, everybody,
nice
Friday,
early fall day.
Exactly. From Friday afternoon in Warsaw, from the Vistula River. Poland Daily says, ciao for now. See you later.
I like this view.
You want to walk up there?
Yes, we can. Dum, 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 da, dum, 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 da, dum, 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 da, dum, 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 dim, da, da, dum, di, da, dum, dim, da, 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 dum, da, da, dum, bum, bum, da, da, dim, dim, di, dim, dum.